Kia ora and welcome to Tarmac. I'm Dave.
I'm Matthew, and today we have the latest iteration of one of New Zealand's favorite Hondas. It's the all-new CR-V.
That's right, it's the 6th generation CR-V. It's bigger both inside and out. It's got a fresh design inside and out. It's got a better powertrain, a new platform, a new exhaust and better tech. Blimey, there's a lot going on. Come, let's take a look at this. Unusually, I actually have to agree with Matthew for once, because this CR-V is a very, very popular vehicle for Honda. In fact, it's second only to the Honda Jazz, or the Fit, depends which way you look at it. There's probably a good reason for that, and that's the fact that the 1995, so the first edition, we were one of the first, or if not the first country to actually get it. So there you go, there is a great affinity with this model. So anyway, looking around this one, as I say, it's much bigger as far as all dimensions. I'll get to those in a moment. But for New Zealand, we're getting 3 models to start off with. We've got the Sport 7-seater, we've got another Sport all-wheel drive that's just about coming in now, and then this model, the hybrid or the RS, and this is quite a cracker. Looking around the front here, you've got a lovely grille that's quite dominant and prominent actually, because it is the RS model and comes with the RS badging. You can see the Honda badging is in blue, so there you go, you now know it's a hybrid. And looking around the rest of it, you've got the headlights here that are LEDs with directional indicators, as for sequential indicators that go across there, and also an adaptive high beam that when you get above 40 kilometers an hour will actually just dip and go bright whenever you want them to, or actually whenever it deems necessary. And also the bumper around the back here, or down the back here, down the front here, is actually now more sporty. So quite an aggressive front for a vehicle that is just a love by all families. The thing that I forgot to mention is that the bonnet is actually more aerodynamic as well, and something that I'd be remiss in not bringing up, because my colleagues have been geeking out about it, is this yellow reflector here, which is something to do with the US market. Look it up, because I really can't be bothered. In terms of sizing, it's as I said, it's grown 80 millimeters in length, 10 millimeters in width, and actually the wheelbase is an extra 40 mils underneath, so there's actually loads of more room inside. It's sitting on 19-inch feet, and these are RS specific, so they're very, very sharp looking. And you can see most of the body colors, including the wheel arches, are very much to do with this Ignite red, which is quite a cool color red. The other thing is the A-pillar slopes a little bit further down, so which actually helps with visibility. We'll get to that inside. The door mirrors here are blackened out, or piano blacks. You've got the doors themselves that have got this little lip under here to make sure you can keep your dress, skirt or trouser legs nice and clean. Roof rails. The B-pillars are now black for the RS are black, or piano black as far as this case goes. And well, the rear here, privacy glass, and actually back to the spoiler here. Follow me around the rear. So this spoiler plus these very, very funky tail lights act as a vortex. Basically, they create a vortex which actually helps with the efficiency of the vehicle, or actually minimizes some of the aerodynamics. So now you know. Privacy glass here, windscreen wiper. Again, another hybrid blue badge here. The RS, or the all-important RS badge here. The other, the exhaust system that I was talking about earlier. The pipes are actually only on this side, but the surrounds, or the tips, are actually both sides, although this one's actually just blocked out, so looks cosmetically cool or symmetrical. But if you're looking for any of the juices, comes out of this side. The tailgate is actually opens up to a massive amount in here. Once you push the seats forward, 581 litres of boot space, so you can fit my house in here actually. And the other cool thing is, you push this, it's got a walk away function, so you can put your stuff up there, pick it up, and then just walk away and go to what's under the bonnet. So with the standard CRV, the sport version, let's say, you get a standard engine and CVT gearbox. With this being the HEV, you get a whole heap more going on under this bonnet here. So you get two motors, one petrol, one electric. You get a small 1 kilowatt hour battery, and you get an eCVT. So together they all give you 135 kilowatts of power and 335 newton meters of torque. But essentially, the only thing that's driving the petrol engine doesn't drive the wheels. It's only the electrical motor that drives the wheels. So all you're doing is this petrol motor acts as a generator, and that provides the power, which then drives the wheels. Hopefully that all makes sense. The other thing is, from the exhaust, or for the efficiency, it's around about 6.4 litres per 100 kilometres WLTP, and also the emissions are 146 grams per kilometre. So it's very efficient, and also just takes 91. So there's none of this range worry, but it actually drives like an EV, but more on that in a while. Speaking of things that just takes 91, Matthew's inside and he'll show you what's going on in there.
And I hate to say it, but Dave's kind of right, to be honest, because I'm okay with just, a bottle of iced tea to get me through the day. Not like Harry and Dave, who need this expensive stuff called coffee to help them get through the day. Speaking of which, as you can see, I'm pulling out lots of bits and pieces from the storage units, because this is a CRV, of course, and one of the big draw cards for a vehicle like this in the Honda range is, of course, the storage. So I've got my 500 milliliter bottle of iced tea, which goes easily in the secondary cubby in the doors, not to forget the bigger one, which can hold an even larger bottle, probably 1 liter. You've got 2 cup holders in the middle here, which will hold even a large coffee cup very tightly in place. You've got storage over here for your wireless charging pad for your phone, and also Dave's questionable choice in sunglasses go there too. You've got a sunglass holder up there. You've got a nook here for your key or something else. You've got a really generous under armrest storage as well, not to mention the other storage in the back too. So Honda really covered their customers in that sense, for road trips, for family needs, all of that stuff. No matter what you have, it'll go in the CRV somewhere. Speaking of being in the CRV, materials on this RS HEV model are premium, of course. You've got your leather seats, which are heated, nice bit of bolstering on it too. The dashboard as well, plenty of soft touch materials up the top as well as over here, and then below that obviously you get your scratchy plastics. Down the middle here as well, they've slightly reorganized this bit here to give you that the newer shifter as well as the drive mode selector. You've got hill descent control on there, your little e-brake as well, and then of course, as you can see, this cabin is absolutely flooded with light, and that's thanks to this dual panoramic sunroof up the top there, which can open as well to let in some breeze for a hot day like today. Speaking of things that are breezy, the air conditioning controls as well. What I really like is Honda have stuck to the traditional approach of using these knobs, and just listen to the click sound of them. It's really satisfying to use and engage with, not to mention easy as well to build up some muscle memory with using those. Now the infotainment screen here is the unit that you find in all of Honda's cars at the moment, so the Jazz, Civic, and all of that jazz actually. But in this CRV model, because this is the RS HEV, you do get a couple of changes, let's say, starting with the power flow meter. So if I click into that, you can see 2 very distinct sides. On one side you've got the total range, and on the other side you've got liters per 100 kilometer, and then in the middle a sort of infographic of the engine and battery and how they sort of work together to drive the car. It's quite cool to see in action as well. If I press the back button, move over to the next screen, the other thing I want to draw your attention to is the vehicle settings. Now there's so many different customization options on this new CRV, as you can see there, from the driving position, lighting, meter, right up to the power tailgate as well. You can have that set up to match the driver profile. As you can see, there are so many different ways to customize the CRV for you. So they have really thought about that, as well as when you go into the trip computer, and then you see that it's not just the thinking and the design, but also in the actual working of the car, it works as per the what's been recorded from factory. So the efficiency from factory is something like 6.4, as Dave said. We've been recording 7.3, and not using eco, not really driving it in a way that's economical, you can say, but still the CRV manages to be efficient no matter what. Head back, and of course the old party trick there, the clock. If you click on that, you have the date over there at the 3 o'clock position, rather than just a mix-up of numbers, as we have made that mistake before. Now the instrument cluster is laid out in a typically Honda fashion. You've got your digital readout in the middle, the entire screen there, and then on the right and left you've got more sort of traditional analog style bars, so for your fuel and for your battery charge indicator. Now again, as we know of Honda, what they've done with the two dials in the middle is make them entirely customizable. So using these various wheels, or rather rotary knobs on the steering wheel, you can change what you see in either of the screens in the middle, which makes them really cool and customizable according to what sort of information you want to see. Speaking of information, you've got a little Honda CR-V, as you can see there in the middle, and if I flick the indicators on, or if I put the brakes on, you can see that that reacts in the same way, just to mirror what you're doing with the car. Plenty of other information around, obviously your charge level, and then again you can get it to display lots of different things. Taking a step back to the steering wheel, as you can see there, it feels really nice. You've got thumb grips, you've got plenty of buttons to play around with, both for your adaptive cruise control as well as your volume controls, that allows you to access that really nice Bose audio system that comes as part of this CR-V RS HEV.
So here's Harry, your rear seat dummy, and when talking about the rear seats of the CR-V, or actually the rear part of the car, the first thing that we have to call out is how wide these doors here open. So they basically open up to 90 degrees, which will always make it so much easier for you to load anything that you need at the back seats. So think about a car seat, or maybe a heavier or a bigger item. It just makes it so much easier. And then you can also customize the amount of room that you get either on the trunk or here on the seats by moving those seats all the way to the front or backwards by using this slider in here, which allows for actually quite a lot of room if you want to transport taller people such as myself. You can see here I have heaps of knee room and head room as well, even with the panoramic sunroof that eats just a little bit of the space in there. About the materials, there is no question that all the premiumness that Honda put on the front seats make its way to the back seats as well. I get this lovely perforated leather, all the good stuff on the doors as well, even individual speakers and everything, so it's really good. There's also the individual vents for each of the two passengers on the back, and two USB-C ports. As I mentioned before, the sunroof gets a lot of room into the back part here, which is always great. And there's also a big and comfortable armrest in the middle with two cup holders that you can use. All right, so yeah, there's no question that the CR-V is a very good family car that you could use for those big road trips with all the family. So I think that it's about time that we take it for a drive.
We were discussing off camera about the fact of the CR-V growing in size over its generations. I mean, look at the size generations, which seems pretty normal to grow. But it started off life as basically a bigger Honda Civic, and essentially it still is. So it's just as the CR-V has grown, so has the Civic. So just it is a big Civic.
I mean, cars in general these days have gone massive because of the increasing needs for safety requirements, obviously the larger size of people in general, the growth, all of that stuff. So, you know, it makes sense for if the CR-V follows that format of being a lifted Civic, because the Civic is now so large, the CR-V should also be. And, well, I want to touch on that because if you those of you with the keener eyes, the car enthusiasts, will notice the styling and the lines and all of that stuff, and the dimensions, of course, are very much geared towards the American market. And there could be no greater giveaway than those little orange indicators on either side to fulfill that American legal requirement for vehicles, which Dave touched on earlier. But there you go, that's a big reason why it's grown in size, and you know, the styling and all that stuff is to appeal even more so to that market.
Do you see what I have to put up with? Gee. Anyway, the CR-V, it is bigger, but it is, particularly when you get into this HEV, such a nice drive. It feels substantial. It feels substantial on the road, and it feels heavier all round. And I kind of like that. I like this, the fact, or the sense of safety that really comes with it. And it does come with a massive safety suite as well. So added bonus.
I mean, it sits on 235 width tires, which just goes to show you 10 years ago, those were on, you know, on hatchbacks and powerful sedans and stuff like that. So it's got a nice firm track that it sits on motorway and on faster roads as well. We didn't have any issues with, you know, much body roll. It keeps quiet. There's no wind whistle, all of that stuff. So it's a really comfortable and sort of quite peaceful place to be honest, on a long road trip or on a journey, all of that. So you can see exactly why there's that appeal for families and for people who tend to do lots of miles.
Yep, and to get the other stuff out of the way, more of the housekeeping, visibility is actually, I think it's around about 4.4% bigger because of the sloping A pillars. So there's much more windscreen to do. Nice big mirrors on the side here. The rear view mirror is big, and the central headrest is very low. So you actually, if you're not full up with people on, you can actually get lots of visibility around.
And even still, if you are full up with people, as both Harry and I pointed out earlier, is that the CR-V has got so much of space on the inside, whether you're first row here or second row, whether you've got, you know, how many ever knickknacks and drinks and things you have, there are storage cubbies for all of that stuff. So they really have been quite thoughtful, I'd say, into how, you know, the actual buyers would use this car. And they have looked to tick all of those boxes, which I think is they've done a good job in that respect.
Powertrain, the EHEV or the hybrid EHEV is, for some, it just takes a little bit of getting used to, because the engine will come on sort of when it chooses. It's not really, well, it does if you push your foot down hard. It does sort of not bypass the electrical system, but it uses the sort of the generator to try to sort of add as much power into it straight away, but it will sort of just top up that battery whenever it so chooses. So you're, on the whole, you're driving, or the driving feel is like an electric drivetrain, and yet there is this engine that pops up, yeah, like I said, willy-nilly when it so chooses.
It's a really intelligent powertrain, and obviously one that Honda use on the Jazz as well, for example, the ZR-V too. So they really have harnessed it across several different sizes and categories of vehicles, and you know, in the CR-V they have upgraded the engine as well to provide that much extra,
so nice 2 litre,
absolutely available power for its, let's be honest, increased needs. You know, to a whole family, you might do some towing, take all of your lifestyle stuff with you. There is definitely a need to have more power, and Honda have met that need with the larger engine. The drive, of course, all of this works absolutely silently. Even the engine, every now and then when it does come on, you can just hear sort of a faint rev, you know, somewhere in the background, which tells you that the engine is on and charging up the batteries. But apart from that, it's a completely quiet drive.
Yeah, the cabin insulation's good, and actually the steering's good. It's very positive. So I took this vehicle through, actually down through Nelson to Christchurch, and it's through the gorges and through the passes there. Really nice, positive experience. Felt very sure-footed, and I thoroughly enjoyed the ride, actually.
As you can hear from all of our camera equipment flinging around in the back, Dave is still enjoying the ride.
Yeah, it does handle nicely, and the added bonus is that that flow, or the power flow, you can actually see where all the energy is going. So when you're off the accelerator and it's starting to top up that 1 kilowatt massive 1 kilowatt hour battery, and then also using the paddles to add even more sort of energy regen to it. It's very cool. I don't know, that's the geekiness in me. It's a lot better geekiness than an orange strip.
And Dave did talk earlier about topping up things, and this model, because it is the RS HEV, is topped up, you can say, in terms of spec to the max. Obviously you have that dual panoramic sunroof, the Bose audio system, the partial leather seats, you know, all of those luxuries I think really add to the experience of upgrading the CR-V's sort of reputation, if you like, and making it so much more respectable and so much more broadly appealing.
For those that want a little bit more of a sportier drive, you can actually flick the driving modes up to sport, and then you can hear the engine cutting in straight away. You can go to normal, or you can go to eco or econ. So you've got that opportunity. There's a downhill descent. Yep. So if you are going on that, well, going a little bit off piste, you can put that on and it'll make sure you're not having to touch the brakes on the way down. And it does have brake hold as well. So if you're stuck in traffic and you want to let your right foot off the accelerator, it will hold that in fixed mode before you just tap on, away you go. So a few more added bits of fun to make your day that much easier. So there you have it, the new Honda, or 6th generation Honda CR-V. Bigger, bolder, and actually I really like the new powertrain and actually the new platform. So more room for me to just stretch out, and you know, we're all getting older and fatter. I can't say that, but there you go.
As Dave just said, rather than what he finished off with, 6th generation, so that means a recipe for success, something that Honda have done really well throughout the years. Then only it makes sense to continue it. And continuing it with this new CR-V makes perfect sense. The way it combines the practicality, the luxury, the safety, convenience, all of that into this sort of package that people really tend to love around here and in several of the other CR-V markets. So it's just perfectly logical to see why they've done this new one and why it's so good.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Anyway, let's go for a drive. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. See ya.